afternoon, guys. It's currently April 3rd. Doesn't mean that this is going to be posted on April 3rd, but just wanted to let you know that it's a fine sunny day. It's, again, me, Julia. I am the digital illustrator for Book Club. Well, just a digital illustrator in Book Club. But kind of wanted to do just a little yap session podcast where I just talk a little bit more about me, because I know that we did our first podcast episode was kind of like an introduction, but I kind of just wanted to go like deeper into what I like to do, like where I got started with art, and just kind of talk about that. And it's going to be a short one, not going to make this super long. I'm going to try to make it just a little 20 minutes, or even, if it's shorter, it's shorter. We could figure things out. But I'm not scripted or anything today, just kind of wanted to start yapping, so hopefully we can get this edited well. So, without further ado, I will begin, technically, with my little story. Just wanted to talk about, like, where I got my love for art, and just how I became an artist myself. Because that's a fun little topic to talk about, with me at least, because art is something that I'm just really into, and it's kind of inspired me to like the things that I do today, like with small little items, little trinkets, the things I like to enjoy, whether it be TV, entertainment, all that kind of stuff. So when I was younger, I very much was not like an artist person, but I would doodle. I was a kid. Every kid most likely made little crayon drawings and whatnot, but it wasn't like, oh my gosh, I'm really into art. But I did grow up watching a lot of Disney animated shows, Nickelodeon, just everything was mostly animated. I couldn't watch quote-unquote live action shows where it was just kind of like The Sweet Life on Deck or something that was like on Disney, Hannah Montana, just shows that it was like people actually acting. I was very more into, ooh, what's that animated show? I want to watch this being like played on my TV. And so I grew up a lot with that. I grew up a lot with Pokemon, and that was a big inspiration for how I love video games today. Like, I play Pokemon, I play Animal Crossing, Mario Kart, play a lot of different video games in my day. I still do. I grew up with Pokemon as being one of like the first games I've played. So like, art was not something I was super interested in, but animation was like something that was the gateway kind of just inspiration and what I liked and what I was interested in. But growing up, I have an older sister. She is 6 years older than me, and she is an artist as well. She's a very big she loves traditional art. She started out with that, and I watched her do a lot of art things, or at least I saw sometimes what she sketched, and I was like, she's doing this is really cool. Like, she learned freehand stuff, so she didn't have to take classes. She just learned it on her own. And it was really cool to see because, I don't know, I was inspired. I was always that kid, where you have a bigger sibling or older sibling, same thing. And you just are like, wow, I want to be like them. Like, I want to do exactly what they do. It's just kind of like a mimic thing. Like, you're mimicking your older sibling because you're like, oh, I think they're cool. And so at some point, as I was growing up, I wanted to draw just like her. And I don't remember exactly when that started as much, but I started drawing a lot more once I hit, like, it was closer to middle school, because at one point I started reading a book series. So I'm not a big avid book reader, to clarify. Wasn't too big into books, or at least when I read books, I read them quick, and I don't remember exactly what books I read. But I didn't read all the time. It wasn't my thing. I would only read if my mom was like, you should read a book series, and I would get into it, but it was never something like, I'm gonna think about this later again. And that's when, at one point, I was, like, seeing what my sister was, my sister was reading. Sorry. Excuse me, just my words fumble. I was seeing what my sister was reading, and she had this book called Warriors. It was by an author named Aaron Hunter. And I was like, ooh, what's this about? Because there's a bunch of cats on the front. And I'm an animal lover. I liked dogs more at the time because so cats weren't on my radar as much, which was actually funny. I wasn't like a big hater on cats, but I just was like, I like all these other animals better. But I asked her about it at the time, and she was like, no, you shouldn't read it. It's too violent. Like, this book series is too violent for you. You're not going to want to read it. It's not going to be good. And I was just like, okay. that's great. We love that. I guess I wouldn't like that kind of book series. So for a bit, I couldn't read it, even though I really wanted to. But I got to a point when I was in middle school where I was like, I really want to read this book. I want to read this book series. So I did. And it turns out I didn't think that this book series was actually going to be the thing that opened me up to my art, quote unquote, career or journey. But it did, because I was just like inspired and enjoyed that book series. It was just the story that wrote, the story that I just read was just so cool to me. In my little kid brain, it just changed things for me and how I even saw cats. I thought cats were the coolest thing on the planet. I still believe that they're one of the coolest animals on the planet. Because I love cats. They're just funny, and I feel like I act like a cat sometimes with my hyperfixations or whatnot, and just my mannerisms and things. But I started reading Warriors after that and started getting really into it, and so I wanted to start drawing cats. Like, I just really wanted to get into that and make my own characters and just be like, oh, I want to make a story, I want to do this. So that's where my big art started coming from. It's just like I started reading a book series, and then I got into art, and that's like what kind of like kickstarted everything. So it started out with sketchbooks. I was a very big sketchbook person. Sorry, I cannot speak today. Don't mind me. But I was a very big sketchbook person. I loved buying them, and I wanted to draw on them all the time. I could have used some of the pages better, because I would draw like one little thing and then be like, next page. So sometimes that was not the best, but obviously starting out drawing, you know nothing. There is nothing you know. You need to look at photos to help. So my main thing is how I learned to draw was that I would look at a photo and I would basically copy it the exact way I saw it. And it was just kind of like a big freehand thing. Like, I didn't trace over stuff because it was like, I can't trace over a technology in a picture. So I would just freehand it. I would look side by side, like have my sketchbook, have the thing, and I would draw it. And a lot of the times, it looked very close to the style. Now, obviously, in the world today, in the art community today, if you were to post something like that and say it was your own thing and not credit, people will find out and be like, wow, they stole this. But there is nothing wrong with tracing people's work to better learn how to make art yourself, as long as like you don't exactly post it anywhere where people could really see it. And, well, post it whatsoever, just because it's like, you're learning how to draw, you're learning how to do these things. It's okay to trace over things to get an understanding of how it works, like how you can trace over a person, see how their features work. You can trace over an animal, an object. It helps. But like, it's a weird thing in the art community with like stealing art, which is fair. Like, I don't want somebody to copy my thing and say that's mine. Like, I made this is my style, this is my idea. No. But like, if my work is going to help you like better your own style and help you learn, like reference it, you can trace it. But if I see it posted and you're going to put this wrong idea out and being like, oh, this is mine, I have an issue. But aside from that, that's how I started. I never posted anywhere. I didn't have any social media at the time, so this was just kind of for me. So I started drawing, I started like making stuff, and it sucked because I didn't have like people to talk to about it, because a lot of people didn't like the same book series I had when I was growing up. I was just kind of doing my own thing, and it kind of sucked because I just didn't have the right people to talk to about it. But it was still fun for me because I always came up in my head with all of these different stories for these cats and their names, and I always made a character that would be like me. Like, oh my gosh, I'm in this universe. Like, I'm in this Warriors universe. I want to make my own character that would be me. Like, if I put myself in there, what would I look like? How would I go about it? And that's when I create, like, it was one of the first quote-unquote original characters I've ever made. We like to call that in the art community OCs for short, instead of saying, my original character is this. No, my OC. It's way easier. So that was where it kind of started, where I just made a character that would be me if I was to be some sort of cat character, and I just went with it. And boy oh boy did I not realize how much that would skyrocket into the place I am in now. It's really crazy. I'm really excited. I'm really happy where I am now with my art progress. But like back then, you could tell little old me about it and be like, you're serious? I'm like that progressed now in my stuff. And like, yep. Because it takes a lot of time. And that's what is really annoying sometimes with people who, a lot of times there are people who come up to you as an artist and say, oh wow, I can't even draw a stick figure. Like they'll see your work and say that. And I understand if you don't really know what to say, but that's one of the most like annoying things you could say to an artist, because we didn't just start drawing and boom, it's magical. Boom, it looks like this. It looks great. We started from, we can't even draw a stick figure properly. We couldn't do that. And we had to learn over time to make the art that we have what it is. It takes practice. It takes skill. It takes some sort of skill once you start practicing, because everybody gains their own skills with an art. But it takes time and it takes practice, and it just takes a lot of studying and like on referencing and anatomy, depending on the subject that you're drawing. It just takes a while. It's not going to be an instant overnight kind of deal with this. You're going to have to take your time like figuring out how this works. And being told like, oh man, I can't even draw a stick figure. Like, unless you're just saying that and you're wanting to pursue the art thing, it's like, oh, that's fair, like keep going, you'll be good. But saying that is just like, I don't know if I would say it's a backhanded comment, but it's one of those things where it's just like, it took a lot of time for me to get to this place. And you can do the exact same thing. Like anybody could get into art if they wanted to put in the dedication and the time into it. Now, some people just may not be into art the way that some people are, which is fine. Totally cool with that. There's different types of arts. Music is a thing of the arts, theater, like actual like drawing art stuff is just one of the many arts that people can learn. And every skill, like every sport, like everything, a lot of people, it takes practice. Sometimes people are just born with natural like talent, in the sense of you were born where it didn't take you a lot of practice to get to where you are, just because you were very good at it already. But everything takes some sort of practice. Every kind of process or thing, but just a lot of things take a lot of practice, and that's okay. And it took me a long time to get my art to where it is now, and I'm still learning. I'm still developing different style. I'm still developing how I want to draw. I haven't drawn as much recently because school has been very much busy for me, but I'm still learning and I'm still growing, and it's really cool to see. Like, it's really cool to see how much I've gotten, like, the place I've gotten to. It's just been really cool. But yeah, as one point I got social media, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna post my art, because I've been wanting to do that for a while. For the first time, I think I just, like, I didn't have like a personal account. I just had a main page for like my art and stuff, because at the time, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I've never been on Instagram, never been on a social media platform. And so I needed to figure out how to navigate that. I didn't get social media until like beginning of high school, or even in the middle of it, because I can't even remember, but it was later, because like obviously, parents are very wary about social media and things, and that's okay. Understandable. I see why. Like, I've seen some things on Instagram and social media that I'm like, I wish I never saw that. But that's just the internet, and we're kind of stuck with it. But yeah, it was just really cool to start getting on social media, because it's like, look at all of these art stuff. Like, I grew up with a kind of like, I grew up on YouTube a little bit. There's a whole thing with that. At one point I stopped using it because there was just a lot of stuff I saw that I didn't want to see, or as a child, you were not supposed to see. So I went away from that for a bit, but I got back to it and just started watching like a lot of artists and animators that were on there. And for the Warrior Cats, like the book series fandom, people, Now, I'm not going to say the whole fandom is great. There are a lot, like, every fandom has their weird people in it. And by weird people, I mean, like, hey, so, like, let's not post this content because this is weird. But, like, that's where I got so much inspiration from these artists and animators because they were just making what they love. Like, they love this book series. I'm going to draw and make something for it because I love this thing. I love this book. I love this TV show. I love this stuffed animal or something. I'm going to make art. And I started watching animation, was like, this is what I want to do. I want to do something in this because I've always been inspired by it. It's always made me feel so cool and inspired, unlike anything else. And this is like a profession I want to go into, either art, like something with the arts, or animation. Is mainly animation. But as of right now, I am not an animation major at my college. I am a marketing major. Now, you can use art for marketing because there's a lot of creative design that can go with it, like graphic design, and that's kind of what I'm pursuing or going after, or something in the realms of I want to create something that people like and people find really pretty and that wants them to get excited about whatever is being promoted. That is kind of something I want to do, and that's what I like to do with my art as well, is just not really for the people, but also myself, to just really make something I like and be like, I'm going to post it and see how people like it. Doesn't mean that everyone's going to like it. Not everyone is going to like your art. Not everyone is going to like some of the stuff you make. You're always going to have some haters. You're going to have some people like, I don't like that. And it's okay. You got to learn to know that there are people who are going to like your stuff, and those are the people that count. They are the people who are going to push you forward and encourage you to keep going. And I have a lot of those people in my life now because they've just really seen how much art has made me feel, and also how it's just like, it's my way of expression. It's my way of expressing who I am and how I just go about my life, because I'm constantly sometimes daydreaming when I'm listening to music. I'm thinking of something I could animate when I have no skills to animate. Now, that is also something that I've been wanting to get into, is animation, but I haven't really sat down and made the time for it, which I really want to. I want to make the time for animating and learning how to animate my characters, because it's just something I really want to do, because music is a very big inspiration and a very big push for me with my art, and I'm like, oh, I really want to do this would be so cool. So hopefully that goes the way that it does. But yeah, it's just really cool to see where I've come, like where I've gotten to, where I've come from, that is, where I've gotten to now. And so I can talk a little bit about that real quick. So my account on Instagram, I am Light of J. That is light.of.j with 2 Y's. They didn't have one username with just the 1 Y, which sucked, because apparently that's a name that somebody has used. And I'm like, that's crazy. So if you're wondering, why is your name Light of J? Now, I've changed my Instagram username many times for my art. I named it Autumn Jules because Jules is one of the nicknames I've used before in my life. And Autumn was a character that I used to express myself through. And she was this cute little cat character. I really loved her. She still exists, by the way. She's not R.I.P. dead, you know what I'm saying. But, like, I don't draw her as much now because I have so many characters and I have different ones. But, I've expressed it, I believe, before, I think on my podcast, that I am a Christian, and the name is kind of tied into my beliefs, very much so, because I have been known through a lot of people and just through my identity with Christ as a light. Like, a lot of times people will talk to me and just say that, and it really just kind of, it's really cool to see, because I don't want to have some sort of ego about it or whatever, but it's really cool to see that a lot of people have just mentioned that, of just being this joyful light. And I'm like, I'm just a very happy person. I love being, super happy and super vibrant and very radiant, which is why my main character that I use nowadays for my art and stuff is Radiance. That's her name. And I've incorporated a lot of my beliefs into her, like, design and how she works. And it's really cool. I really like doing that. But yeah, because we, like, as Christians, we are called to be the light of the world. Like, Jesus is the light of the world. We are called to that. And so that's just a little bit about, like, kind of my background with the name, because I liked the name Jay a lot as a nickname, just randomly, but also at one point I just went online by JJ, and that's like kind of my online nickname. So if you ever see my stuff and says that, that's just my online nickname. Um, and I wanted to be, I just wanted some like name that incorporated that and light, and I came up with Light of J, and it was kind of like a play on the light of day, you know. And so I was just like, Light of J, that'd be really cool, LOJ, and it sounds like Ella J, like Ella J Georgia, which I think is also funny. So that's the name. That's the inspiration. Because before I used to be called Tiny Yangi, which is a play on words to say tiny cat, because Yangi, Go Yangi, is cat in Korean, and I just was very obsessed with like Korean culture at the time because I love K-pop in general and K-dramas and stuff. I still do, but it's not like as heavy as it used to be. So I had that name because I was like, oh, tiny cat, love that. That was one of my names. Or I said intense cat vibes because I was a kid. I was just younger and I loved cats and I was very intense about cats because I still kind of am, but I'm very laid back, I promise. But yeah, Light of J is my name now, and I have around 6,000 followers on Instagram. I only got popular because I posted a reel, guys, I promise. Like, I wish it was actually because of this, the straight up cool art that I made, which it can be if I start posting more often. But I'm there. I post a lot about just my characters. Most of my stuff is character art. I also have commissions open. This is such a shameless plug that I'm putting in here, but I do have commissions open, and if you go to my Instagram account, I do have a link in my bio that can link you to the commissions. I draw characters. I can draw your pets in my style. I cannot draw people whatsoever right now, though. That is something I'm looking to study and kind of start drawing. I've just never had like an incline to, but now I'm very inclined to because of things. I don't know, just drawing people is really cool. I see people do it all the time, and I'm like, wow, I could do that, but I get lazy. And that's just one of the plights of an artist, is that we get lazy, or we have artist block. We hate art block, everyone. That's just when you can have two different instances, by the way. You can have such a motivation to draw, but no ideas, or you can have every idea on the planet for an art piece and no motivation. There's really no in between. Or you're just lazy and don't feel like drawing. And that's okay. You don't always have to draw. Don't make yourself draw all the time. That would be kind of stupid. Because that exhausts you. And the funny thing is, that's why I actually didn't go into the animation art program at my college, because it was a lot of arts related things, but the classes were like 3 hours long. And one thing, I don't like 3-hour long classes, even if it's art, because, you know, I just couldn't do it. And I would have to pay a lot for art supplies that I was not ready or not wanting to even pay for, as well as just there was a lot of like things in the art world as a believer that I don't agree with, which is like, it's nothing against anybody. It's just personally for me. And I was just not wanting to get into that. And I was like, I'm going to figure out a different track. Because also I've heard that a lot of times it can be exhausting to try to do art all the time, especially if it's like for a class. Now, it sounds fun, but I just didn't think it was in me at the time. Like, art is my hobby. I would love to do a lot of things with it for a career. But if that's not the case, I'm okay with keeping it as a hobby and just maybe having a side hustle with that in a second like career. But yeah, just art has been a very big focal point in my life. Besides my faith, it's just been also one thing that I use to express my faith and express like who God has made me to be, which is a very creative little person. And it's just cool to see his creativity flow through me and flow through like nature and just the people that I meet. It's just so evident of his creation. But, you know, that's my little thoughts about art and creativity and just my faith a little bit. I don't mean to talk about it in the sense of like I'm putting it on here, but that comes to me so naturally, so of course I'm just going to talk about it. So I love Jesus, and I love talking about stuff that's related to that and my faith because I'm very passionate about it, and I'm very passionate about art, and I'm so glad he made me the way that he did because I am a little fiend for the arts. and I love drawing little kitties, and I love being interested in all the things I am now, because through art I just found these cute little interests, like, collectibles, trinkets. It's been so fun. It's just a really cool aspect of my life. But if I want to do another podcast episode soon about my love for trinkets, I will definitely do so. And so I would say watch out for the future. But, that's me. And so thank you guys for coming to listen to my little podcast episode. It was just a short 25-ish minutes, or even more, because I'm still rambling. But I hope you guys enjoy your day, and just be on the lookout for more updates on our socials for book club. Just look us up on Instagram at book club, and you'll find us with our little Smoosh. Smoosh is our mascot that I created for our platforms. He looks like a little off-brand Kirby. You'll find him very quick. He's green and he's cute. So just be on the lookout for any more updates and posts from us, and hope to see you again soon. Bye, guys!